All right, so today we're going deep on something I think we all do every single day,
Uh-huh.
and that is
Yeah.
drinking water.
Water. Yeah.
I think a lot of times we kind of take it for granted,
We do.
but we're going to learn some really interesting stuff today
Yeah.
about the benefits of drinking water. And
Okay.
we are looking at a really unique source for this deep dive.
Interesting.
We're actually looking at a Learn English with Alexa podcast episode.
What?
Learn English with Alexa. So
That's cool.
this is a podcast designed to help people learn English,
Okay.
obviously.
Right.
But what's really cool about it is they weave in these really practical topics. And
That's that.
this episode actually features a health expert named Lily, who really gets into the benefits of H2O.
Okay, cool.
All right, let's dive into something we all experience every day but might not think too much about: hydration.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's easy to overlook until you're really parched, right?
Exactly. But we're going to go way beyond just quenching your thirst today.
We're going to explore the surprising ways water impacts our bodies and our minds.
We've got two really cool YouTube videos lined up that dig into those benefits. And one even focuses on hydration for athletes.
Should be fascinating.
Absolutely. So let's jump right in. One of the first things that pops up when we talk about hydration is that old 8 glasses a day rule.
Right, like it's some magic number etched in stone.
But our sources are debunking that myth right away.
Yeah, it turns out our hydration needs are as unique as we are.
So what factors actually determine how much water we should be drinking?
Well, there are a bunch. Your age plays a role, of course.
Makes sense. Younger bodies, more active, probably need more, right?
Generally, yeah. And then there's your activity level. If you're hitting the gym hard or training for a marathon, you're going to need way more fluids than someone who's more sedentary.
Okay, that's pretty obvious. But what about other things? Do things like climate and diet affect it too?
Definitely. If you're in a hot, humid environment, you're sweating more, so you need to replenish those fluids.
Right. I've definitely noticed I get thirsty way faster when I'm out in the sun.
Exactly. And even your diet can make a difference. If you're eating a lot of salty foods, for example, you might need to up your water intake.
Oh, interesting. So there are all these little things that can influence our hydration needs that we might not even think about.
It's like a puzzle. All these pieces fit together to create your personalized hydration equation.
So how do we even know if we're dehydrated?
Yeah.
What are the signs? Sometimes I honestly don't even realize I'm thirsty until I'm like super parched.
That's actually really common. Our bodies are good at sending us signals, but we're not always great at listening.
True. What are those subtle signs we might be missing?
Well, think about that afternoon slump you get sometimes. That feeling of fatigue or brain fog. It could be dehydration.
Oh, wow. I always just assumed I needed more coffee.
Caffeine's not always the answer. Headaches are another big one. And feeling irritable or tense can also be a sign you need to hydrate.
So those little things we just brush off could actually be our bodies saying, hey, give me some H2O.
Exactly. And if you ignore those signals for too long, dehydration can get more serious. You could start experiencing things like muscle cramps, dizziness, even heat exhaustion.
Okay, that's a little scary. So how do we make sure we're staying on top of our hydration, especially with our busy lives?
Honestly, a lot of it comes down to awareness and building good habits, like start your day with a big glass of water. That way you're already ahead of the game.
Good tip. I definitely need to be better about that. I usually just grab coffee first thing.
And try to keep a water bottle with you throughout the day. Make it a visual reminder to sip regularly.
Makes sense. Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Totally. And if plain water gets boring, which, let's be honest, it can,
Yeah, it can get old.
jazz it up. Add some slices of fruit, cucumber, mint. Get creative and make it something you actually enjoy drinking.
Ooh, I love those fancy water infusions. I'll have to try some new combinations.
Exactly. And remember, hydration isn't just about how much water you drink. What you eat plays a role too.
Right. So fruits and veggies can help, especially ones with high water content, right?
Absolutely. Watermelon, cucumbers, spinach, those are all great for hydration.
Okay, so we've covered some basic signs of dehydration and some easy ways to stay hydrated.
We've laid a good foundation.
But now I'm curious about the benefits. What are some of the amazing things that happen when we're properly hydrated?
Well, for starters, you'll probably notice a difference in your energy levels. Dehydration can literally drain you.
I can definitely relate to that.
Proper hydration can also work wonders for your digestion. It helps things move smoothly, if you know what I mean.
Okay, that's good to know. And I've heard that water is great for your skin, but is that true? Or just one of those beauty myths?
There's actually some truth to it. When you're dehydrated, your skin can get dry and lose its elasticity. But when you're properly hydrated, it helps plump up those skin cells, giving you a healthier glow.
So water is like a natural beauty treatment. I'm even more on board now.
Right. But the benefits go way beyond just looking good. Hydration is essential for our organs, our joints, our entire system.
Okay, I'm starting to see how powerful something as simple as water can really be. It's about way more than just quenching our thirst.
Exactly. And one of the most fascinating areas is the connection between hydration and our brains.
Yeah, we touched on that earlier. But before we dive into the brain-boosting benefits of water, let's address a question that might be on everyone's minds. Can you actually drink too much water?
That's a great question, and the answer is surprisingly yes. While it's not as common as dehydration, overhydration can be just as dangerous.
Wait, really? So there's a sweet spot we need to find.
Absolutely, it's all about balance. Your kidneys can only process so much fluid at a time, and if you overwhelm your system, it can actually disrupt your electrolyte balance, especially sodium levels.
Okay, so we need to listen to our bodies and not go overboard. What happens if those sodium levels get too low?
It can lead to a condition called hyponatremia. It can cause headaches, nausea, confusion, even seizures in severe cases.
Wow, I had no idea too much water could be a problem.
Yeah.
So how do we find that balance? How do we make sure we're getting enough but not too much?
Your body is smarter than you think. It has a built-in thirst mechanism for a reason. Pay attention to those signals.
So when we feel thirsty, drink. But what about those of us who just forget to drink throughout the day? Any tips for making hydration more of a habit?
Good habits are key, and they don't form overnight. Start with those visual cues, keep that water bottle handy, and like we talked about, get creative. Make hydration fun.
I love that approach. So we're talking fruit infusions, fancy ice cubes, turning hydration into an experience.
Exactly. And if you need a little extra nudge, there are tons of great hydration tracking apps out there that can send you reminders throughout the day. Think of it like a personal hydration coach in your pocket.
Ooh, a hydration coach. I might need to download one of those myself. But speaking of coaches and training, I know hydration is especially important for athletes. Is there anything specific they should be doing?
Absolutely. When you're sweating, you're losing more than just water. You're depleting those crucial electrolytes that help your muscles and nerves function properly.
Right, we touched on electrolytes earlier, but it sounds like we need to go a little deeper on those, especially for our active listeners.
Definitely. And we'll do just that in part 2 of our hydration deep dive. We'll break down everything you need to know about electrolytes, how to replenish them, and the specific strategies athletes can use to optimize their performance through hydration.
Stay tuned. This is where things get really interesting.
Welcome back to our hydration deep dive. We're picking up right where we left off, diving into the world of hydration for athletes.
Yeah, in part one, we talked about why hydration is so important in general.
The basics.
Right.
Right.
But now we're going to zero in on how we can make or break your workouts.
And how to make sure you're giving your body what it needs to perform at its best.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about those electrolytes we mentioned earlier. Why are they so crucial, especially when we're sweating it out at the gym or on the track?
Well, think of electrolytes like those little electrical sparks that keep your body's systems running.
Okay, I like that analogy.
When we're exercising and sweating, we're not just losing water, we're losing those electrolytes too.
And those electrolytes aren't just hanging out in our bodies for fun, right?
Yeah.
They have specific jobs to do.
Absolutely. Sodium, for example, is super important for muscle contractions and nerve signals.
So if we're low on sodium, our muscles might not be firing properly.
Exactly. You might feel that as muscle weakness or even cramping.
Ouch. And what about potassium? What role does it play?
Potassium helps regulate fluid balance and also plays a part in preventing those muscle cramps.
So it's working with sodium to keep things running smoothly.
Exactly. It's a team effort. And then we've got magnesium, which is a bit of a multitasker.
Magnesium, that's the one that's supposed to help us sleep, right?
It does have a calming effect, but it also plays a key role in muscle recovery and energy production.
Ah, so it's helping our bodies bounce back after a tough workout.
Exactly. And all of these essential minerals are lost when we sweat, which is why it's so important to replenish them, especially if you're pushing yourself physically.
So how do we actually do that? Is water enough? Or do we need to be thinking about sports drinks and stuff?
For most workouts under an hour, plain water is usually fine. But if you're exercising for longer periods, especially in hot weather,
Like training for a marathon? Or doing some intense outdoor boot camp?
exactly, that's when those electrolytes become even more important.
So in those cases, we need to step it up a notch.
Right. You'll want to consider a sports drink or an electrolyte-rich beverage like coconut water.
Okay, so sports drinks have their place. But aren't they loaded with sugar?
That's a great point, and it's something to be mindful of. A lot of sports drinks are packed with sugar, which can actually hinder your performance in the long run.
So what should we be looking for when choosing a sports drink?
Look for options that are lower in sugar and have a good balance of electrolytes. And remember, sports drinks are meant to supplement your water intake, not replace it completely.
Got it. Water is still the foundation. So how much should we actually be drinking when we're working out?
It really depends on a bunch of factors. The intensity and duration of your workout, the weather, how much you're sweating.
It's like that personalized hydration equation we talked about in part 1.
Exactly. But a good rule of thumb is to listen to your body and drink when you're thirsty.
Our bodies are pretty smart, right?
They are. But sometimes we need a little extra guidance. A simple way to check if you're hydrated enough is to monitor your urine color.
Urine color.
Really? Yeah. Pale yellow is what you're aiming for. If it's darker than that, you need to drink more.
Okay, that's a good tip. And are there any other signs we should be looking out for during a workout that might signal we need to hydrate?
Definitely. If you're feeling dizzy, lightheaded, or having muscle cramps, those are definite signs to stop, hydrate, and listen to your body.
Got it. Don't push through those warning signs. But let's be honest, sometimes drinking plain water all the time can get a bit boring. Any tips for making hydration more appealing?
We've touched on this before, but it's worth repeating. Get creative. Those fruit and veggie infusions are a great way to add flavor and excitement.
Yeah, I'm all about those. But what if you want something with a little more fizz?
Sparkling water is a great option. It's a healthier alternative to soda if you're craving something bubbly.
Ooh, sparkling water. I love that. It's like a little party in your mouth.
Right. And it can help you stay hydrated without all the added sugar.
So we've talked a lot about water and electrolytes, but there's one more beverage I have to ask about. Coffee. I'm a coffee lover, but does it actually dehydrate us?
That's a common myth we need to debunk. While caffeine does have a mild diuretic effect, meaning it can make you pee a bit more,
So there's some truth to it.
moderate coffee consumption isn't going to significantly dehydrate you. As long as you're drinking enough water throughout the day, you're good to go.
That's a relief. So my morning coffee is safe.
It is, and some studies even suggest that caffeine might actually enhance athletic performance.
Wait, really? So coffee could be giving me a workout boost?
It's possible. Caffeine can increase alertness and focus, and some people find it makes those tough workouts feel a bit easier. But again, moderation is key.
Okay, so coffee, in moderation, can actually be part of a healthy hydration strategy.
As long as it's not your only source of fluids, water is still the MVP.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to sum it up, hydration is crucial for athletes. We need to be mindful not just of our water intake, but also of those electrolytes.
And remember, it's not just about chugging water during your workout. It's about staying hydrated throughout the day.
Right. It's about creating a consistent habit that supports your overall health and fitness goals.
Yeah.
But hydration isn't just for athletes, right? It affects every aspect of our well-being.
Exactly. And one of the most fascinating connections we need to explore is the link between hydration and our mental and emotional well-being.
Okay, now you've got my attention. I'm ready to dive into that.
Well, stay tuned because that's exactly what we'll be discussing in part 3 of our hydration deep dive.
Okay, we're back for the final part of our hydration deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we've talked about why hydration is so important for our bodies, how to stay hydrated, especially if you're an athlete.
Exactly. But now let's tap into a connection that often gets overlooked. The link between hydration and how we think and feel.
Right, our mental and emotional well-being. It's fascinating, really. We tend to think of water as, fuel for our physical bodies,
Keeping those systems running.
but it plays a huge role in our mental and emotional health, too.
Okay, I'm all ears. How are those things connected?
Think about it this way. Our brains are almost 80% water.
80%? Wow, I didn't realize it was that much.
So even mild dehydration can have a big impact on how well our brains function.
Okay, so that's why I feel foggy when I haven't had enough water. Like I can't focus.
Exactly. Studies have shown that even being a little dehydrated can slow down your reaction time, impair focus, make it harder to remember
Like
things.
my brain is running on fumes.
Pretty much. So, if you're reaching for another cup of coffee to try and power through that afternoon slump, maybe what you really need is a glass of water.
Interesting. But what about the emotional side of things? Can dehydration actually affect our mood?
There's a definite link. When we're dehydrated, our bodies react in a way that's similar to when we're stressed.
Oh,
We
really?
produce more cortisol, that's stress hormone.
And cortisol isn't exactly our friend, is it?
Not when it's in overdrive. Too much cortisol can make us feel anxious, tense, even irritable. So you could say that staying hydrated might actually help us manage stress better.
Wow, so a glass of water could be like a little mood booster.
It's possible. There's research that suggests that even mild dehydration can increase feelings of fatigue, tension, even confusion. And on the flip side, staying hydrated can make us feel more alert and contribute to that overall sense of well-being.
It's amazing how connected our physical and mental states really are.
It's all intertwined.
But let's be real. Life happens, we get busy, we forget to drink, and then suddenly we're feeling drained and grumpy.
Happens to the best of us.
What are some things we can do to get back on track when we realize we've let our hydration slip?
The first step is just recognizing those feelings. Acknowledge that you might be dehydrated and make a conscious effort to drink more.
Okay, awareness is key.
Right. Simple things like keeping a water bottle with you, setting reminders on your phone, those can make a difference. Or try one of those hydration tracking apps we talked about.
Oh yeah, those are super helpful. And remember, it's not just about plain water.
Right. Fruits and veggies, especially those with high water content, can help too. Watermelon, cucumbers.
So many delicious options.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of our fluid intake throughout the day and making hydration a priority.
Because even small changes can have a big impact on how we feel. Well, I think we've explored just about everything when it comes to hydration. The physical benefits, the mental and emotional connections. It's clear that water is essential for, well, pretty much everything.
It really is the elixir of life.
So true. And remember, even small sips can lead to big waves of well-being. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of hydration. We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration.